covered one lecture or overview. Basically, the course has been designed to cover the various aspects, and first session, which is normally the introductory session, has to be on the overall awareness about the bridge design and construction. And you will find other lectures also which will be dealing purely on the merits of design and analysis of the bridges. So these two lectures are considered with a view to familiarize you with the overall, basically the concept of the bridge design and construction. So I just would like to supplement the query which was raised by one of the participants, that where we use the composite construction. So I would just like to add here, of course, faster construction is one motive, and there are other techniques also which allows you to make faster construction, like segmental construction, launching. There are various launching methods which I will be covering tomorrow. But composite construction is also dealt to economize the cost at some point, you know. So there are various advantages. We cannot just confine to one parameter. So composite, of course, is because nowadays we are going for FRP material. So FRP material is the future material where you will see lot of composite construction having the FRP, steel, concrete, sandwich. So with that view, composite construction has to be seen. So thank you. So my topic is basically the project planning for the bridges, and it encompasses through various segments of the DPR. We all know, you are all practicing engineers. You very well know how the DPRs are prepared, but we call everything as a DPR, but this is not the DPR. I mean, there are three stages in the project planning. First is pre-feasibility, then feasibility, then DPR. So if we have to distinguish between them, you have to be very sure in your mind, because everybody calls it as a DPR. So moment you ask any, today morning also we have seen ACS was telling DPR. But we should be very, very clear that what we are expecting from the project preparation. It has got three distinct features of pre-feasibility. Means, suppose you have to construct a road of 100 km or 50 km, and where we are not sure whether I have to really construct a road, whether I have to really go for expansion plan. So pre-feasibility just covers the origin point, destination points, existing feature of the road, rough cost estimate on the basis of your thumb rule. Like if you want to design the bridge, if you have the bridge, you see existing bridge is not sufficient, I have to discard it. Just on the merit of your visual inspection, no investigation, nothing. Just go to the site, make some visual observation, see your urban areas, and you feel, look, expansion is not possible, we have to create bypass here. So you are not deciding the length of bypass, but you simply decide, okay, this is the 800-meter town, so I will roughly need bypass of around 1.2 km, 1.5 times the length of the existing road. So with all these features, you cover and you prepare a pre-feasibility report without any geotechnical investigation, without any traffic study, without any actual cost estimate. You prepare a pre-feasibility report and come out to your authority and say, look, if this road has to be done, my pre-feasibility says that 50-kilometer road will have 50 km plus some bypasses of around 5 to 6 km, some realignment. If there are existing bridges, I need to have, these are very old bridges, so we need to repair or we need to reconstruct, and my estimate would be something around 200 crores based on the per kilometer cost. So that is pre-feasibility. So government takes a call whether pre-feasibility is acceptable, whether really I have the budget to go for further study, whether I can present to my government, look, this is very important stretch, and to take a political decision based on your social economical consideration. Then they say, okay, you go ahead, at least we cover this expenditure in our budget, go for then feasibility. So I explained pre-feasibility, now I explain feasibility. Feasibility means then you really start working on your pre-feasibility, like you refine the alignment. You have the various alignment options, you freeze the alignment. You have 2-3 alternatives, just go for one alignment. then your alignment is freeze on the basis of your traffic, basis of your feasibility of the land availability. Then you fix the various other parameters like length of the bridge. There also, you don't actually go for the actual cost estimate because you have not done the detailed engineering. So with this refinement of the pre-feasibility to the extent possible, without going much into details about the analysis, design of the structure, cost estimate, we go for the feasibility report. And then feasibility report is sufficient to float the tender. And suppose then you have the mode decided whether I go for item rate contract or a BOT contract or a BOT annuity contract, different forms of contracting that I will be explaining later. Then you have to decide whether I should go for detailed engineering, which is called DPR, detailed project report. So detailed project report has to have everything possible, every minute detail. You go for geotechnical investigation, you fix the structures, basically configuration, you do the detailed engineering, you design the bridges to the actual parameters, you design the pavement composition to the existing geotechnical conditions, you design your bypasses on the basis of best possible alignment, you select the land by knowing whether this land is of protected forest, whether this is a wildlife, this is other kind of, the nature of land, whether you have any other hindrance like CRZ, coastal zone requirement, whether you have any archaeological consideration. So everything comes under the detail engineering. So detail engineering gives you the exact cost estimate, which has to be there in your tender. You have the working drawing. You have everything possible in the detail engineering. So if you want to go for item rate contract, like under FDIC conditions, if you want to go for a EPC contract, you want to go turnkey contract, so you should have detail engineering done. So that is how the project planning start with. And basically this has to be done for two-lane carriageway, like we do for rural roads, high order from two-lane to four-lane divided carriageway. Requirements remains the same. It is only you are changing the configuration of the road, 4-lane to 6-lane, and as well as the new sections. Like present day we are having new expressways. So there we totally have the new greenfield alignments, new sections. You decide the type of junctions, structures in the form of culverts, bridges. This is the essential objective of the project planning, and whatever you plan, it has to be done in a very economical manner and consistent with the requirement of safe and efficient speed travel and other benchmark factors. Benchmark factors are basically your level of service, that what level of service you want to decide, whether you want to make you want to plan other ancillary facilities. So you decide on certain benchmarking. Like you would like to have toll plaza, then whether you would like to have an automatic toll plaza or you would like to have a, the refinement in your level of services. Then based on highway design, provision of paved shoulders, wherever necessary that you provide. You assess the social and environmental impacts, whether this is going to create any social hazards, environmental impacts. I'll tell you a very interesting study done after completion of Golden Quadrilateral, that what is the social impact it has given on our urban landscape. So that's a very important study. You can just look at the National Highway website. That what is the social impact similarly on the rural roads. You must be having, certainly you must be having this study. If it is not done, it should be done. That what is the social impact of your construction of rural road, and which would be, in my opinion, would be very, very important and very, very, interesting to know that कि आपका जो rural network बढ़ने से social impact कितना है, कि वहाँ पर कितना बच्चे स्कूल जाना शुरू किए, कितने वहाँ हॉस्पिटल खुल गए, कितने वहाँ पर इमरजेंसी सर्विसेज आ गई, क्या इम्पोर्टेंट आपका जो एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस है उसमें चेंज, उसके पैटर्न में चेंज आया. लोग पहले सस्ती क्रॉप लगाते थे, महंगी क्रॉप लगाना शुरू किया कि नहीं किया, क्योंकि उनका पेरिशेबल टाइम कम हो गया. सो दीज आर ऑल सोशल इम्पैक्ट दैट everybody should keep in mind, that whatever road we are planning should have a very positive social impact. So essential features of the DPR is, basically you can call, I explained the feasibility also. The DPR, basically you have the alignment, your alignment should be freeze, the basic alignment like along the main line and along the bypasses. So there are two alignments that we have to see, that first on the course of main line and another on the course of bypasses or realignments. There is a difference between realignment and bypasses. Realignment means wherever you have to just tweak your geometry. Your geometry is not correct, like your rural roads, you find at several places that roads are good, but your geometry is not correct. You are not feeling comfort in driving of the rural road. That is the basic flaw which I see as a point of view of highway engineers or looking at from the national highway point of view. In rural road, the basic problem is your roads are good, but you have so many curves. So if you improve upon it, you can do everywhere. You cannot go for bypasses because you have to acquire the new land. But as far as possible, you have to remove the reverse curve. You have to see whether the riding comfort is improving or not. So alignment is very essential feature of any DPR. Road geometry and configuration, whether this is 2-lane, whether it is there is concept of 3-lane also, which I will not cover here because it's not popular in India. Additional lane is created just to overtake, but it has to be done at a place where there is a strict compliance of the rules, which is not possible in India. So additional lane is not given. Right of way requirement, I don't know in rural road you are acquiring your land or not, but normally invariably in all national highway project, we have a definite right of way requirement. For 4-lane project, we have 45 meter. For 6-lane, we have 60 meter. And for expressway, we have 120 meters. So this is the minimum right of way that we acquire. And I believe rural road, I don't know whether you go for additional land acquisition. You can just confirm, anybody can confirm here, whether you go for additional, you are not doing. But anyway, but wherever the realignment is to be done, wherever the correction is to be done, something has to be done. I mean, you already have single lane, and mostly I think you have the government land available then. You are not acquiring the land because you may be having the government land, and you may not be passing through reserve forest or protected forest. So that's the advantage you have. But otherwise, invariably in all the cases of national highway, we go for land acquisition. Road junctions, this is very important features of any safe highway. The merging of the roads, crossings, you have to create safe turning. Payment type and composition, I mean, you have to decide whether you want to strengthen the existing payment with the same composition, or you want to go for reconstruction, or you want to totally change the composition of payment from flexible to rigid. So that way you have to take a call on the basis of your design life, basis of your traffic, on the basis of your future maintenance requirement. Then the bridges and cross drainage structures, of course, they are integral part of any DPR. Road furniture and ancillary services. Road furniture means signages. Ancillary services means like the toll plaza, truck levy, all these things. Then we have to also deal with the deficiencies and the issues involved in the making of the detailed project report or in project planning. Basically, the insufficient road capacity to carry anticipated traffic at reasonable level of service. This is a big challenge on our national highway, because the road capacity is something that, I mean, you have to look at. For example, you look at your urban roads. Urban roads means you have already PCU of something like 40 to 50,000 PCU. In Delhi, we have PCU like 2 to 3 lakh PCU traffic, and we have no capacity. We have no capacity to expand. In rural roads, when you are improving the road, you look at your capacity. You design for 15 MSA, 20 MSA, your traffic is about 2,000 to 3,000 MSA, PCUs, just like that. It is not even 10,000. But moment you improve the road, this traffic is going to be increased. उसके बाद उसको increase होना ही होना है. So then you have to anticipate the capacity of the road, whether the kind of road that we are constructing will remain capable of handling that traffic or not. So that's big aspect of any highway network. Otherwise, after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, this network will become infructuous, like we have seen in the case of 4-lane. Now 4-lane is no more sufficient. You need 6-lane. At places where you have 6-lane, now you see 6-lane is insufficient. I need expressway. So the similar thing is going to happen in the case of your rural roads also. The moment you construct a good road, naturally it has got to have good social and economic environment, and that would lead to enhancement in the capacity. Then substandard payment conditions. Like you have existing road which is having some payment. You can say the flexible payment like blacktop. In rural road you don't have even blacktop. You have just like WBM road. In the case of MP, because I myself belong to MP, you have a lot of laterite roads, the morum roads, gravel roads, So whether this payment condition, I mean, we have to improve upon, whether you should retain the old material or not. That is the big challenge. Like nowadays in ministry specification, we do not allow any plastic material. So that way we have to see. And educate side drainage facility, which is the most common feature of any highway. Like we do not have side drains. Even in urban areas, it is a big challenge because everybody is coming on the road. All the drainage discharge of the shops, your urban centers falling on the road, damaging your conditions, damaging your pavement. So you have to think of the roadside drainage. And normally in highway construction, we invariably have both side pakka drain. In your case, I don't know whether you provide pakka drain or not. You may be providing in urban areas, but definitely this is one of the very important issue which creates deficiency in your overall pavement design. Then several congested locations along the alignment, because there are urban centers. In a village especially, you have a very blind turning, at various places. Missing busways. This is the most important feature of any highway, whether it is a rural road or it is a national highway or anything. Busways has to be placed at very appropriate location where passenger can come and wait over there. Otherwise, if you misplace your place of busways, accidents are going to happen. So busways are very important issue. Absence of street furniture like traffic signages, road markings, traffic signages. The sustainability of the traffic signage is a very important issue because today you put some signage, tomorrow it is not there. So it is a most common issue. So we have to think of some way that whatever signages we are doing should remain there. You think of certain issue like you erect some flags board, erect some sasta type board, or erect some cementitious board. But we have to see that the signage are there, because if we put the costly signages, there is no point, next day it will be removed. Lack of road safety structure, especially valley side, hillside. In your valley side, hillside, if you see, you have to allow for extra lane width. You have to allow for certain road safety structures, just basically to retain the earth, to retain the slope. So, and then we come to the socio-economic profile. Any DPR should consider this socio-economic profile. As per latest census, the total population of the state has to be mentioned along with the population density per square kilometer. I don't know, you may be doing in your DPR. And also include the overall percentage of literacy rate. This is very important. And because then you have to decide on higher grade of facility. If you have good literacy rate, you can decide on good educational institutes in that area. So you have to plan your highway accordingly. If suppose literacy rate is poor, then you have to decide for average type of like primary school, middle school kind of thing. So that way your DPR has to be in the overall built up environment to consider all these socio-economic issues. In a state of habitation of different category of population, like you have I should not say much but in this regard, but just think of a situation where you have tribal population, urban population, and other kind of population. And habitation and their lifestyle is different. So whatever the project you plan, you must plan with the taste of the नेचुरल पॉपुलेशन, दे शुड नॉट फील एलिनेटेड कि साहब आपने हाईवे बना दिया, हमारे किसी काम का नहीं है। कई बार ऐसा होता है कि साहब आपने तो हाईवे, आप तो हाईवे बना के चले गए, लेकिन हमारे किसी काम का नहीं है। क्यों काम का नहीं है? कि हम तो सड़क क्रॉस ही नहीं कर सकते, हमारी तो भैंस इधर से उधर जा ही नहीं सकती, एक्सीडेंट हो रहे हैं। तो आपको उस इन्वायरमेंट को अडॉप्ट करना पड़ेगा। यदि आपको लगता है कि वहाँ कैटल पॉपुलेशन ज़्यादा है, यदि वहाँ सपोज आपको लगता है कि ऐसी पॉपुलेशन है जो कि कैटल के ऊपर निर्भर करती है, कैटल पॉपुलेशन के ऊपर निर्भर करती है, तो आपको उनको फैसिलिटी देनी पड़ेगी, आपको उनको क्रॉसिंग के लिए जगह बनानी पड़ेगी, आपको उनके इरिगेशन फैसिलिटीज़ को फैसिलिटेट करने के लिए आपको जगह देनी पड़ेगी, चाहे आपके स्कोप में है या नहीं है, क्योंकि अदरवाइज आपका इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो जाएगा, वो एक्सपेंडिचर आपका बिल्कुल खराब हो जाएगा। I'll just touch upon some field survey and investigations like climatic conditions. It's very important because any DPR should cover this. We have already talked about it. Now you see the climatic situation, road inventory, whatever existing roadside furniture, roadside, whatever assets are available, cover in the road inventory. Road condition, of course, we have to record. As a matter of record, we have to have the year of original construction. It is very important in the case of bridges, because bridges are normally done for 100 years. 100 years is a very, very theoretical word. We say 100 years. How many years we will live? We say simply 100 years. We don't live 100 years. Similarly, your structures. There are very structures. There are many structures which are more than 100 years old, still surviving. There are many structures which are only 25 years old, not surviving. So 100 years is, and we are not designing a structure for 100 years. Who says we are designing a structure for 100 years? It is in the code only. There is no criteria that this will last for 100 years. Nobody has seen 100 years, 75 years, 60 years. But it is a theoretical concept in our mind that, okay, flexible payment, 20 years, rigid payment, 30 years. But if your 30 years traffic has exceeded in 10 years, your road is infructuous in 10 years. That road will not last for 30 years. Similarly for bridges, if your bridge is having high density traffic, it may not last for more than 30 years. Quality of construction is not good, it may not last more than 5 years. But we have to really see that whatever we construct should remain within the essential, we should meet the minimum design requirement. Then condition of bridges and cross-journey structures are very important, because any DPR you make, you have to assess the condition of existing bridges and cross-journey structure. Like in cross-journey structure, like we have the pipe culverts. In National Highway, we have decided to do away with the pipe culverts. All the pipe culverts are replaced with the slab culverts. But in rural road, still we are keeping pipe culverts, and that's good. I mean, they are good structures. We have very good quality of pipe available, and there is no reason to replace in the rural roads. Otherwise, it will increase the cost. Then subsurface geotechnical data for existing bridges. If we talk about bridges, we have to collect the geotechnical data, hydraulic data drawings, which will be dealt separately. Details of sanctioned ongoing works. This is from the perspective of National Highway. Survey and evaluation of locally available construction material. So this is very important aspect. So wherever you construct your highway, your DPR must really consider the availability of the local material. Like if you go to the Rajasthan, you have the slurry available. If you go to some area like industrial area, you have the fly ash power plant available. You consider fly ash as your basic input material. Somewhere, if you have some laterite mine available, consider that mine available. Mix it, stabilize the soil, that kind of thing. In MP area, you have a lot of black cotton soil. So you have to also see how we can work on black cotton soil. Especially in Malwa region, Bhopal region, Hoshangabad region, you have a lot of black cotton soil, BC soil. So this is a challenge for you. Then any DPR should consider, the scope of work basically include the construction of new structures along with the existing alignment, the construction of new structure alongside section of new alignment, rehabilitation of existing structures. For DPR, for the bridge DPR, I'm talking of now the bridges. The existing structure, the rehabilitation of existing structure. So for that, you have to examine the existing condition, winding and repair of existing structures. In National Highway, we have from 2 lane to 4 lane. Similarly, in your rural roads, single lane to 2 lane. So how to widen those structures? You have to consider that whether we should utilize the existing material, whether we should utilize the existing infrastructure, or we should replace it. So a study program should include collection of available CD inventory and design data, drawings, detailed field survey to document structures, locations, visual inspection to record the condition of a structure. There are standard formats available to record the existing condition. There are formats available. In fact, if you look at the ASTO code, American code, they have standardized everything there. Unfortunately, in India, we have not standardized. They are given code to everything. And this is uniform all across the country. Suppose you have parapet wall, bridge parapet. So you define P102. This P102 will remain same all over the country, irrespective of state, irrespective of anything. So that way we have to standardize all the inventory, so that anybody comes next time, he can simply say, okay, P102 means this. He can immediately connect with it. Then accordingly you develop the design strategies, whether to widen or reconstruct the new structure. Hydraulic data, of course, hydraulic investigation report is very important, is a very essential feature of the bridge. Factor influencing the bridge design, basically HFL, discharge, waterways. These are the three principal parameters that we have to be sure that these are recorded properly. Then for bridges, before proceeding with the visual condition survey, the survey should familiarize with themselves with the available document of the structure, existing design, that if it is available, you consider that design. Observations are to be made on exposed component of each structure, note down the condition, take the photograph, record the, these days you have the GPS phone, so that way it is easy. Then activity required for visual inspection, each type of structure plan in QA procedures. And better to have a quality assurance plan. For anything that you start with, you should have a quality assurance plan. Site photographs for the critical component of the structures like bearing, like expansion joints, which you cannot, nowadays we have drone available which can access to the critical components of the bridge. You cannot go there. So all these things you have to go under the field investigations. These lectures would be available to you in PDF form, so you don't have to record all this thing. So it is all available and it will be shared with you. Then basically there are three elements: concrete element, steel element. In case of concrete elements, taking photographs of critical component, record, and if there is any sagging, deflection, visible sagging is there in the existing structure. Cracking, very important, and cracking normally not seen by your naked eyes. You have to go very close to the structure. We normally adopt a rule of one hand, like that. जितना आपका हाथ दूर जाता है बस उसी डिस्टेंस तक आप देख सकते हैं. लेकिन वहाँ तक जाएंगे कैसे, उसके लिए आपको ब्रिज इंस्पेक्शन यूनिट है या लैडर है या प्लेटफॉर्म है, कुछ ना कुछ आपको अरेंज करके उसके पास तक ही आपको जाना पड़ेगा टू ऑब्जर्व द क्रैकिंग. हनी कॉम्बिंग in the existing is a very common feature. Whenever we poorly construct the bridge, you can notice the honeycombing. Scaling, scaling means the spalling of concrete cover. If it is not compacted properly, or there is a corrosion, it will spall. Leaching means you see the white spots on the, because there is a continuous percolation of water. Dr. Kantara will explain you in detail all these things with photograph. I have not explained because I am not explaining. So what is the leaching? But leaching, you can say they are the white spots where you have the continuous flow of water, and if you don't attend to it, your cracking will start. Hollow or dead sound, just knock the surface of the concrete and see whether the concrete is dense enough. Holes in the deck slab, if there are the construction holes are not covered, so that way you can see there are certain gaps in the deck slab. Then corrosion in the reinforcement, it's a very, very common feature. If you do not compact concrete properly, if your cover is not proper, and earlier our codes have also revised. Earlier we used to have 40 millimeter cover, now it is 70 millimeter cover. Earlier, we were not using like the galvanized bar. We were using simple bar. Now we are using the galvanized bar. So with that, you find a lot of corrosion in the reinforcement, and you can see the existing bar diameter has been reduced because of the corrosion. Then steel element, I am talking of concrete now. The steel element, there are steel bridges also. Steel bridges means there may be geometrical inconsistencies in the steel bridges because of replacement of few sections. You can find ISMB 150, then you can immediately see ISMB 125 or 100 because of the cut and paste. Inspection of joints, that has to be seen very, very carefully, because if your joints are not proper, if it is belted joint or riveted joint, and over a period of time this joint becomes loosened, your rivets or bolts आपके नीचे गिर जाते हैं, वो देखने पड़ते हैं आपको, because this is the problem, this is the most critical problem we find in all the rail over bridges. Wherever we go for inspection of rail over bridges, they are composite construction, you find lot of bolts are missing. Lot of bolts are missing. It is our misfortune that we don't go and see there. If you just go to any ROB in Bhopal or near about Bhopal, just take a case study. Just go 5 or 10 engineers, just go and see. You will find lot of connections, lot of bolts are missing. Just because their bridge is continuously vibrating. Paint defects, there is a whole chemistry behind it, that paint, whatever paint, that spray that we are doing, it has got certain life. So you can see the defects, corrosion of course, and corrosion leads to sectional loss. This is very detrimental to the health of the steel bridges if your section is losing the desired width or depth. Then missing elements. There may be structures where where total one element is missing, like bracing. You go and you don't find bracings there, which is very important. And masonry elements, you just take the sketch, prepare your photographs. You can see the longitudinal crack, you can see the lateral and diagonal cracks, especially of arch bridges, loosening of mortar. All these defects you can see in the masonry elements. So these are 3 elements like concrete, steel, and masonry, or for existing bridges. Other elements, of course, bearings, expansion joints, back wall, like retaining wall, drainage system, choking of hume pipe, silting, railings, parapet, footpath and curve. These are basically ancillary components of the bridge, but you have to record each and every component in a very careful manner, because everything has a certain merits of it. Then, of course, the bearing course on the bridge, abnormal scarring, if you can see if it is a high flood bridge or any, you can see the flash flood. In case of flash flood, you can see the scarring. Nowadays, scarring is also happening because of the unauthorized mining also. This mining also has become a major issue, because nobody is paying attention to it because of certain administrative reason. But the mining is one thing that which is spoiling and your entire infrastructure. Whatever infrastructure you create, your mining people come and they do the overloading, your existing road network is getting defunct. Same way, if you go to the rivers which has high pebbles, like your Chambal river, which has a lot of good sand, and you find the mining is happening everywhere, unauthorized mining. Mining is a good thing, but it has to be done. If it is done scientifically, it is a boon to the river. If it is done unscientifically, then your entire bridge is going to be collapsed. You are scouring. But you find all the scouring, all the mining are taking place underneath the bridge. I have seen at many locations where you have dharamkata inside the bridge, underneath the bridge. Government dharamkata. So this is very detrimental to the life of the bridge. The scouring is something that if your bridge is very good, your superstructure is absolutely fine, your all bearings, parapet, bearing course, everything is fine, well designed. But if there is a scouring, there is a tilt, you have no option but to replace the bridge. There are many examples. There is no dearth of example. Then, of course, DPR, in National Highway DPR, we always have just to segregate the traffic, we have provision of grade separators, which will lead into the various design aspects of the bridge. So we have to look at the choice whether at which point we want to divert the traffic for service road, for cross road, for closing access, whatever it is. Then for pedestrian, viaduct, all these things we need a gate separator, trumpet junction, like you have on national highways. Then the viability of the project. When you have done all this engineering, then you have to really see whether the project which you are preparing, the DPR which you are preparing, whether it is viable, whether government has got money or not. So DPR consultant, one of the objectives is to prepare detailed at-grade junctions which may be adopted as alternate to the grade separator structures, geometric design of interchanges. So you have to see whether the project is viable. And then viability comes from the economic analysis. Assess the capacity of existing road and effects of capacity constraints on vehicle operating cost. Vehicle operating cost is something that we all understand, that it covers lot many factors. Vehicle operating cost is not determined just like that. It covers a lot of economic factors, reduced congestion, travel distance, your condition of the vehicle, traffic pattern, everything. Then we calculate this is a very famous word of EIRR and FIRR. If you go to any bureaucrat, he will say, what is EIRR? What is FIRR? You know? And so any chief engineer coming to to his boss, then he say, what is EIRR? What is FIRR? So you have to explain that what is your cost, what is the rate of interest that you consider, what is the NPV, net project value, and what is the return, how your investment will be returned. Then they decide the mode of execution, everything. Then of course, financial analysis, which of course a job of a financial consultant, but as a technical person, we give input to them. Look, this is my cost, this is my traffic, this is my tollable traffic, this is my untollable traffic. You know, all these parameters that you give to the financial consultant, this is the rate of toll. This is the willingness to pay the toll. This is the traffic leakage. All this thing comes under the financial analysis. Then financial analysis will decide the viability, whether this project is viable under this particular mode or not. So that is why they decide whether this project will qualify for BOT. In BOT, built operate toll system, we have considered like 40% grant. If your project cost 1,000 crore, government is willing to pay 40% for 400 crores, like that. If it is not viable under the toll, the gap funding is coming more than 40%, then project is not qualified. That means you don't have commercial traffic, you don't have much toll available on the road. Then you go for annuity mode. Annuity mode means your investment of 1,000 crore will be returned by the government in the installments, 6-month installments. Annuity means 6-month installment with your original construction cost, investment, the interest on your investment, like that, NPV value, and whoever quote the lowest annuity, he will get the project. Now we are having hybrid annuity project. Hybrid annuity project, this is the most, these days in NHI, they are awarding most of the project on hybrid annuity, where you have gap funding as well as the annuity. Both the things are sandwiched together. This I have already covered. The structural design, I just don't want to cover because it is already covered and it will be covered subsequently in your lecture, so I don't want to repeat all these things. But of course, structural design, loading, expansion joint, bearing, deck slab, basic input for design, everybody knows. This will be covered in your subsequent lectures, so I don't want to elaborate here because otherwise you will see the CRRI is repeating their lectures after lectures. But these are basically the basic requirement. I just skip. Yeah, this is important, selection of material. That if there are long span structure, for bridges particularly, I've seen these photographs. I can see those photographs. You have invariably all the short spans. But you have to see whether this short span is viable or slightly you can reduce one span here. If you look at the photographs here, you can see it is only 3 meter, 3 meter, 3 meter, like that. You could have gone for 6 meter, you could have gone for 15 meter, but after only proper analysis. Your DPR consultant should have done the job. Whether I should go for 3 meter, 6 meter, 10 meter, 15 meter, whether I can reduce the cost of superstructure, whether I can play with the design of foundation. So that way, I mean, I have reviewed lot of DPR, like in Kerala state, you have lot of backwater. So there we had a tiff with the consultant. That is where the departmental minds of the departmental engineer should come into play. The span arrangement, very, very important, that whether I should consider this span or not. Why not? Question the DPR consultant many times. Why only 3 meters? Why not 6 meters? Why not 10 meters? Give me the alternate design. Give me the alternate bill of quantity, estimate. I'll work out. So that is where your role comes. It is not like whatever is prepared, just go for tendering. So that is where if you go for higher grade these days, because you take the advantage of higher grade material available, you take advantage of steel, you can take advantage of pre-stressed concrete. So that way, if you improvise on the choice of the material, you can always go for better span. Better span means better economy. The cost of bridges you can always reduce. If you look at your selection of material very, very carefully, and if you look at the design very, very carefully. You don't have to design, you got the consultant for this. You have to only tell, look, I need at least 3 options. I don't want 3 meter, I don't want 6 meter or 10 meter, 15 meter. Do some iteration, do some hand calculation. या भी कर सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं कि बहुत बड़ा कोई जो है रॉकेट साइंस है. Why I'm 20, I consider I'm 40. Why I'm 40, I consider I'm 60. This is available. So with the choice of better material, you can always economize on the span arrangement. Moment you economize on the span arrangement, your cost of construction reduce. You can plan more infrastructure with that limited amount of money. Same way steel. Now we are using 415, now using 550. And if you can use, like in coming days, now a lot of people are working on FRP material, carbon fiber material. If you can sandwich that material, that tensile strength go up to 4,000. So we have to think in that direction, where we can reduce the cost of the construction. Design criteria, of course, it has been covered by Dr. J K Goyal. So these are the codes available. Everybody knows. I don't want to read that again. Load combination, of course, we have to design the structure with considering load combination. If there are earthquake, we have to consider earthquake, wind, all these loads we have to consider. This is the analysis. Substructure foundation will be dealt separately, so I don't want to cover here. I do just don't, repair and rehabilitation will be covered separately, but I have already given you the idea that how to inspect the bridge and then how to plan the repair and rehabilitation methodologies. Because all the bridges which we consider can be repaired. There are many bridges which we see on the national highway which simply DPR consultant ignores and say, look, यार मुझे इस चक्कर में नहीं पड़ना, नया बना दीजिए. लेकिन आपको डिपार्टमेंटल इंजीनियर्स को आपको थोड़ा दिमाग लगा के देखना है कि हम इसको रिहेबिलिटेट क्यों नहीं कर सकते, रिपेयर क्यों नहीं कर सकते, क्या कमी है इसके अंदर. पहले आप कमी तो जाने, जब तो आप उसको रिहेबिलिटेट करेंगे. यदि आपको ये नहीं पता कि कमी क्या है, आपकी कमी सिर्फ है कि पानी वहाँ से जाता है. यदि आप पानी को रोक लें, आपका लीचिंग को कवर कर लें, आप उसको प्री स्ट्रेस कर दें, कुछ कर दें, तो आपकी लाइफ बढ़ जाएगी. तो आपको बड़ा केयरफुली सोचना है कि हम एग्जिस्टिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को कैसे रीयूज करें, बजाय इसके कि उसको रिकंस्ट्रक्ट करें. So I just want to skip all these things because this will be covered. I'll just go for, I'll go for this latest tools and technique that we use these days. Topography survey, of course, now the things have changed. You have all the electronic material. Like in Bharatmala project, we have used all this latest device. Like LIDAR, it is a laser-based LIDAR you are using in your network or no? I don't know. Sir, you are using LIDAR? No. In National Highway, it is compulsory now. For Bharatmala, it is compulsory because this is a system which will give all the topographic feature and just mounting on the vehicle. So you can 100 kilometers you can cover in a day. So you have all the road inventory, you have road condition, you have all the road features like curvatures, except the road condition. which you have to cover by the FWD or other road investigation, or bridge condition. All the essential geometrical features, road condition, inventory, everything you can cover with the lidar. You can even fix your alignment also. But it is not the replacement of visual inspection. Visual inspection means आपका judgment तो होना ही है. Then ground penetrating radar for the purpose of just let me go back here. The ground penetrating radar basically to relocate the utilities and existing condition of the pavement. Then we have network survey vehicle, which is used for mostly for the maintenance and strengthening of the pavements, following with deflectometer to assess the condition of the existing pavement for the design purpose, and the mobile inspection unit, which we are showing in the middle of the. This is our patented unit. We have designed indigenously, and this is being used to inspect the bridges. As I have told you, you cannot quantify or qualify the structure unless you see the structure from your arm's length. You can see the cracks. How you will go? You will go by this mobile inspection unit. You simply cannot see, look, this is good or this is bad. No, it's not like that. Then road signages, effectiveness, reflectometer. So this is all cameras available for traffic counter, classifier. Then these days satellite mapping is done to select the corridors. This is the basically Bharatmala map which has been done. Bharatmala is supposed to carry the 70 to 80% freight traffic. We are planning, but I am not sure. Then you can select the corridor in very scientific manner. If you use all these latest tools, technology, you can select the tour. Like we have selected economic corridors. Now you see Delhi to Katra, like that. So these are all part of EC, economic corridors. So we are going to have something like 55 economic corridor in our country. This is the close view of the mobile inspection unit. This is our indigenous unit. We feel very proud about it. This is how we have been using it in all across the country. There are other kinds of mobile inspection unit, bucket type, but this is not really useful for testing. You can just go on inspection. Now we have the latest technology using drone, the component which cannot be covered by even the mobile inspection unit. There are structures, there are technology now drone which it can go and take the visual observation. We are planning to have, Dr. Navit is working on it, even you can go do certain kind of testing also, non-destructive testing also. And another thing is that for inspection we have the facility available for the underwater scanning, because underwater scanning, of course, in India, I'm not sure whether it is mandatory, but all over the world, every 5 years you have to go for underwater scanning of well foundations, wherever you have the foundations are covered in the water. So with that, technology, sensors, there is always possible to faster the DPR, to make the better judgment. Land acquisition, of course, I will not touch upon it. This I have already covered, different forms of contracting. So this is all basically I just wanted to cover in my presentation by skipping some slide for the future, and for whatever I feel important, I have covered. And if you have any question, you are most welcome. Thank you.